Hello, and welcome to the Nameless Podcast. I am Ivory Schulte, and with me, as always, is my co-host Ben. How are you doing, Ben?
Doing well. How goes it with you on your end? I know that you're in a heat wave right now on your side of the
Dude,
country.
I'm dying. I apologize to all of our listeners. You're gonna hear a fan in the background, probably. Ben tells me that you can hear it. I will not be turning it off. It's 96 degrees, and we don't have insulation or AC in my house. So, this is just kind of what we're doing today. I don't know why I'm getting this defensive immediately, but this is what we're doing. So,
You're a trooper for continuing to podcast through this kind of stress and anguish. So I
dude,
appreciate it.
it's so bad. It's so miserable outside. I walked outside this morning and I was like, "Oh, I'm melting. I'm going to melt right here on fucking Glendale Boulevard and that's going to be what happens to me." Um
It can be a lot in that concrete. Just the stretch of asphalt and concrete with that heat is unbearable.
Unbearable, man. It's so dreadful. But today we have actually a lot to talk about. There's a lot happening in the sports world. March Madness, of course, we might touch on a little bit. It's still pretty early goings, so there's going to be like a lot of crazy upsets, storylines that we can follow as the tournament progresses more. But I think today we're going to be focused more on football as we are kind of moving through free agency up to the draft. Yeah, but to start out though, we got some crazy news about Cade Cunningham. He has a collapsed lung, according to Shams. And apparently it happened when someone fell on him and kind of smushed his lung and it collapsed. And there's no timetable for his recovery. I believe I was listening to Zach Lowe just before I came on, and I think he said something about like the earliest he could come back is like probably in like a few weeks, but this is also a collapsed lung, and can't imagine that Cade is going to be like rearing to get back onto the court when his literally again has a collapsed lung. And I think this is concerning for the Patriots. Obviously, not Patriots. It's concerning for the Pistons, obviously, and of course, it's concerning for Cade Cunningham. All prayers to him. Whatever. Um, this Cade injury has a chance to be a real sliding doors moment for the Pistons. Cade is their offense. He is everything to them offensively. Without him, they cannot score. Without him, it basically becomes the Dennis Jenkins, Karis LeVert, Jalen Duren show. And as much as I like all of those players, excluding Karis LeVert, that's not really even a mildly competent NBA offense. That's a dumpster fire NBA offense. And I think it's a sliding doors moment because, I mean, you look at the East, what it's going to be next year and what it is this year. This year, it's pretty open. Everyone's been saying it's open all year, and I don't really have any reason to argue against that. There's no real clear favorite. The teams who would be clear favorites, like the Celtics or the Knicks, are either like still dealing with like pretty crazy injuries or kind of been falling apart in slow motion all season. And next year you have Hallie coming back with Indiana in a new lottery pick in Indiana. You're going to have a full healthy season of Jason Tatum, hopefully. You're going to have the Hornets who are going to be better. You're still going to have the Knicks. You're still going to have the Cavs. This is the year that the Pistons really have a chance to do something special unless they make a big move. And I think this Cade injury really hurts them because if they go into a first-round series with, let's say, the Hornets or the Raptors or the Hawks even, I don't know how many people are going to pick the Pistons over whatever that team is without Cade Cunningham or with a very diminished Cade Cunningham. He is everything to them. And he is also an important part of their defense in a way that I don't think any of their backup, like Dennis Jenkins, as much as dogged as he is as a defender, just isn't that guy. So I'm very worried for the Pistons right now, and I think this moment has a potential to be a huge sliding doors thing for the Pistons.
Makes sense. It's a pretty wild injury. It's just a common theme that more and more, as we go into the future and as medicine and diagnoses become more accurate, we're starting to hear about injuries you never really heard before, or at least ways that players are getting them that are completely new. But I see your point. I mean, Any major injury or any injury that really causes you some kind of grave concern when it happens to a franchise player, if you're a fan of that franchise, you do have that moment. You have the moment of going, oh man. I mean, we just did it with Tatum, right? He does that, and it's like, well, what does this mean? Does this have a bigger implication? And obviously, he comes back and seemingly is starting to fit in with the and get ramped up with the offense, but who knows? This could be something that's very dangerous. Could just be a little segment of his career we think back on and go, oh, just another major obstacle he overcame on the path to greatness. And I hope it's that. I hope it's the latter.
Yeah, me too. I think he will recover from this. I mean, collapsed lungs are scary, but I think we've seen this in the past with like just I think more like football specifically. Like there are examples of collapsed lungs, like guys coming back from those. I'm thinking of like Tyrod Taylor, um,
And
and
those are punctured lungs. A
those
lot
are
of
punctured
those
lungs.
when they're
Yeah,
giving Toradol and different pain killing drugs.
yeah. So I do believe that it's gonna work. Like it'll probably work out for Cade, but I don't think they can really score without. They can't score without Cade, and we were all really concerned that they wouldn't be able to score enough with Cade. So if he's like hurt in any way or just in any way impaired for the first round of the playoffs, we could really be looking at like a first round exit for the Pistons, which is really tragic. Just because this has been one of the most fun teams in the NBA. The ball movement, the chemistry, the defense, it's just the vibes in Detroit are euphoric this year. And if this is the way it ends, like it goes out 14 games before the end of the season, like this is just sad. Like Pistons fans do not deserve this. It feels like they're still paying for the sins of the like bad boys Pistons sometimes.
Something karmic always happening to the city of Detroit, completely undeserved. But we can stick with basketball just for a moment here. This is definitely the football podcast here on this Friday, but I know that March Madness started this week. A lot of busted brackets so far. I was doing well on day one, and now I have lost some pretty critical matchups. But you wanted to talk about Duke, Cam Boozer, a couple other players?
Yeah, Cam Boozer is the kind of player I love. He rebounds the hell out of the ball. He's an exceptional passer. He's a really crafty scorer. But I don't know. Did you watch that Siena game? Because he looked like he. Oh, sorry.
I actually wasn't able to. I wasn't able to watch. I only saw the clip where the Duke coach congratulated the Siena coach on a game that he felt that the Duke coach was outcoached. I guess that wasn't a very succinct way of saying that. Basically, the Duke coach was giving the Siena coach a lot of props, and that was the clip that came out. And that always sucks to hear when you lose. It's like the thing you just don't want to hear at all. You're like, I don't care, we lost. But anyways, I did not get to watch it. But what were your thoughts based on what you saw?
Yeah, I think for one, Cam Boozer was just dominating the boards. He was fucking all over. Anytime Duke needed a possession to end or they needed a second chance, he was there. He was fighting, and if he wasn't getting the rebound himself, someone else on his team was just by the space he was creating inside. He is still an amazing passer, but I think this game kind of like showed me why I'm a little bit worried about Cam Boozer. Like not in any like crazy way, but I would feel less comfortable taking him as a number one pick just in general, I think, because I mean, we saw it, like, he was having a little bit of difficulty kind of creating space in the paint versus the bigs of Siena. And granted, he got to the line, like, 14 times, so it's a little bit, like, the free throw creation was there, but just, he was kind of, he wasn't able to bully and, like, make space the way he, like, has been all season against Siena. And I don't know if this, I don't want to over-index on this game and be like, this is why you can't take him number one. But every flaw he has offensively, and granted there are not many, but all the few flaws that he does have were really, really exposed against that in that game against Siena, offensively, and I would be a little apprehensive if I was any GM, like in this draft specifically with AJ and Darren, and I took Cam Boozer.
I mean, I know college is a completely different game. 4 for 11 is kind of a tough stat line given his previous games, but he he had also come off a pretty rough, shaky win where he shot 3 for 17 at Virginia, and they still ended up winning the game, which is like, if you're getting in those top five talks, those games kind of don't exist on your college resume as a player, I feel like. But I have no doubt he'll still go high in the draft. Went through the blue blood, has so many connections that would let him know what the league is like. And look, he averaged 22 and a half in college. It's impossible to average 20 in college. So anyone who does, there's always a reason that they're doing so, and it usually has to do with their skill. But who knows? He's certainly not been averaging 22 and 10 in the last couple of games, but he plays hard. I mean, I respected Duke when I looked at the halftime stats and saw how far down they were and their resolve to come back. And look, even the second half wasn't amazing, but they just managed the game in the way that they needed to. They played their way, and clearly, the Siena scoring definitely cooled, because I think they had like 44 in the first half or something like that, and then it kind of cooled off from there. But congrats to every team that won in the first round, and we'll continue to be watching. And hopefully I win my bracket pool, but I went from first to third, so I'm kind of worried. And I had Santa Clara making kind of a Cinderella run, and they just lost in overtime to Kentucky. No big deal, but I had them beating Kentucky and then Iowa State, and then losing eventually to Michigan, I think. It's okay. It's okay.
Bracket therapy for Ben right now. Bracket therapy.
It's fine. It's fine. John Calipari is obviously going to win the tournament. It was written. Arkansas, go Razorbacks. No, but we'll get on to NFL. We've spent enough time on some NBA and college basketball, which we'll do more on Monday. But on the NFL side, I would say the biggest piece of news that's come out in the last couple days is the Waddle trade. Jalen Waddle is sent from Miami to the Denver Broncos in exchange for, I believe, a first and a third round pick, and then a fourth round pick swap between both teams. Now, Ivy, I'm actually going to throw to you first. What were just give me, almost in like 2 sentences, gut reaction to a trade like this as a fan of the franchise?
Hell yes, I'm super excited. Thank God we got a receiver, and then immediately, wait, is Jaden Waddle actually good, or is this just going to be a trade that we look back on and we're like, this did literally nothing?
I totally see where you're coming from. It certainly falls in step with what the Broncos are trying to do, which is win right now. And I think that this trade kind of signals that the changing of the guard is official in a lot of these teams' eyes, where, the Patriots and the Broncos, maybe it was just a crazy year and for the Broncos, maybe it was just a crazy year and they got lucky in some scenarios, and, Buffalo didn't have the right coach and this and that and the other team, or this, that, and the other thing. But what's clear is that they know that, okay, if we're going to try to make lightning strike twice, we have to do it right now. This is the moment. I think there's a lot of questions about how good Bo Nix is. I was kind of chirping you right before we started recording, but Bo was, given his raw statistical output, he was like a top 15 to close to top 10 quarterback in the regular season. But when you kind of get deeper into the stats, it was closer top 15 to top 20. On a lot of lists I had sent in our group chat, I had Bo sitting at 15, 16, 17. And boy, I heard about it. But then there would be a lot of games in the regular season that we'd come back and go, ooh, maybe. And then there'd be some games you go, oh, no way. This guy's the GOAT. So the team obviously believes that Bo can bring them to the Super Bowl. The team is good enough to go. And I'm going to say something wild. I'm going to say something wild to sum up this Waddle trade. Bo Nix is just modern-day Mark Sanchez. He has every single piece surrounding him. The entire defense is good. and now he has great receiving weapons, just needs a good running back, and he will have the best team in the league. This is not a slight. Mark Sanchez went to the AFC Championship game 2 years in a row. Not many quarterbacks in the history of the NFL can say that they did that. But this guy on his own is not going to win you a Super Bowl. That's why you need to put all these amazing pieces around him. I understand how this sounds like I'm flaming him, but it's true. We can see it. If anything, he is an incredibly inconsistent quarterback. Maybe his top of level play can beat Josh Allen in a shootout in the playoffs, and maybe his lowest level play can lose, if a couple plays go another way, losing to the Jets in London. That how do we reconcile those two performances coming in the same season? How do we reconcile that? What is he? Is he one side of the extreme or the other? I feel like his peak, he peaks at within the top 10 of the quarterbacks at his highest level of play, and his valleys, he's close to Geno Smith territory. As in, like, you're getting close to 20, and then we'll see what goes on from there. But I also, to counter my own point, brought up the fact that this was a common theme among quarterbacks this season. I mean, we can say almost the exact same thing for Trevor Lawrence, right? A quarterback who was heavily inconsistent in the regular season, and while he did lose the one playoff game, had an incredible performance. Really turned it on late in the season, had an incredible performance, and just didn't win the day. Just lost to the team that had more experience, and it didn't happen. But they had a wonderful season, and is that something that you can recreate year on year? A quarterback that can have really, really mid numbers and turns it on 1,000% in the playoffs? I mean, I'm not sure. I think a lot of people had this idea that that's kind of what Brady was, but that's never what he was. Same thing with Patrick Mahomes. Even in the years where Pat has no receivers or Brady has no receivers, they still put up 4,200 yards, touchdowns at least in the 20s, and maybe single-digit interceptions or just a few interceptions. And that's close to what Bo did this year. I think he had closer to 3,800 yards. But overall, if Bo is just Mark Sanchez, I still believe that Denver should win the AFC this season. The Denver team is so good now. Waddle, wide receiver 1, I think a lot of people didn't believe necessarily. They're not sure. He's been a wide receiver 2 his entire time playing in Miami. And I think people are forgetting the reason that the reason Miami was so good is because they had 2 wide receiver 1s on the field. Where Jalen Waddle, you always forget until you play him. He's one of those players where you always forget about where his skill set lies until you play him. And his skill set lies in creating space, getting open. I think the problem is that people don't see him on highlight reels because after the catch, he's not as elite. He's not as spectacular, especially if he's fighting through contact. That's kind of when you neutralize him and make him a regular guy or a jag, just a guy. But when he can get to his spot the way he wants to, almost like a basketball player just finding their way open, he is unstoppable on that route. He is unstoppable. He is an incredible receiver to get you to the sticks, good chunk yardage guy, still so fast and specifically so quick, which is what makes him such a demon on these routes. And had to sit behind one of the best wide receivers of all time. Say what you will about Tyreek, but he is one of the best wide receivers that we've ever seen with our own eyes. And people are going to remember. People are going to remember this season about Jalen Waddle and why he was getting wide receiver 1 hype coming out of school.
But I'm a little
overall,
okay. So I'm a little concerned because I feel like every time a trade happens like this in the NFL, it's like 50-50 maybe that the guy turns out being like the exact kind of player that you wanted him to be and that you gave up all this draft equity to get. Do you think Jalen Waddle is going to be one of those guys who like actually works out, or is there like what's the chance that I'm sitting here next year being like, I can't believe we traded 3 picks for Waddle, and all he did was basically become like a little bit faster of a Cortland Sutton.
I mean, he's significantly better than Cortland Sutton has ever been in his entire career, though. Right? Like that. I don't even think that's that crazy to say. And that's not like a flame. They've kind of had separate jobs, but no, I mean, off the rip, Waddle is far better. 2022, 2023, Tua gets all this credit. Oh, that was back when Tua was an elite quarterback. The 2022 season, as the wide receiver 2, he had 1,300 yards. He was averaging 18 yards a reception. That led the league. That led the league in football. And I know, because the Patriots weren't very good, and that was when we went on our 7-game losing streak to Tua. Okay? To further prove my point, are we putting, at this point, who is a better all-time quarterback, Tua or Mark Sanchez?
This is fucked up. This is fucked up because no way you're saying, because then you're saying that Bo Nix is worse than goddamn Tua. You cannot put Bo Nix and Tua in the same conversation.
My point was that Tua is worse than both of them.
Okay.
I'm also just trying to give Mark Sanchez props for making it twice, but
yeah, I don't know why
my
you're.
My point is that the 2022-2023 Miami, the Broncos this last year, when you can build out a well-rounded team, a great defense, and either a hyper-elite unit on one side of the ball or the other to complement a pretty good unit, your quarterback can be middle of the pack and you're still going to get pretty far. I mean, Sam Darnold just won the Super Bowl. And the difference between him and Bo Nix this year is that Sam Darnold's stats would suggest he was a top 5 quarterback. Whether that is actually true, is up to people like us to decide, I guess. But that's what his stats show. Bo's stats show the 15th best guy. How true is that? Who knows? But
my thing with a quarterback is I think you're right 100% that you don't need to be an elite quarterback to win a Super Bowl. It really helps, and I think a lot of Super Bowl winners, probably the majority, have been with elite quarterbacks or otherwise very, very, very good quarterbacks. But I think if I am if I'm leading a franchise, right? I would rather have the guy in Bo Nix who will fuck up a lot in the regular season and will kind of hurt you a lot in the regular season, but will ultimately just kind of have that thing that is undefinable and not backed by statistics, but everyone who knows is real. But the thing where you are a clutch performer. You are just genuinely amazing in the clutch, and there's kind of nothing you can do about it. I think Bo has that. And I would kind of rather have that than, I don't know, let's say Drake May, who melted down for 5 straight weeks in the playoffs. Maybe I'd rather have Bo than that. I don't know, though.
One of our quarterbacks played through the injury. All I'm going to say.
One of our quarterbacks was missing a fucking leg.
That's crazy. But no, I mean, to put you at ease, I really, really am a Waddle believer. Not only are most of my sources and mentors big Waddle believers themselves, but consider this. He hasn't missed a game. He has started pretty much every game that he's been available to start, and he every single game he's been available for, he's started, and he hasn't missed a game. He has just kind of seen a dip in targets since his rookie season because Tua hasn't been as good. And I think Bo is better than Tua. I think that Bo's not necessarily going to unlock anything we haven't seen with Waddle, but the best case scenario you can hope for is that it's back to regularly scheduled business. You know what I mean? Putting Waddle back to, oh yeah, this guy's the number 1 wide receiver. He can be that. This is a guy that you should have for every single game this season, and he's going to give you 70 yards and maybe a touchdown for most games. And I think that's pretty good on a team that already has Courtland Sutton. And I know that there was some issues with Troy Franklin and maybe some of the guys lower in the depth chart, but once you start pushing those guys down, the wide receiver room becomes immensely better over time. But no, I think you should have immense faith in Waddle to be both available and an elite pass catcher for his tenure with your team. You know, you're going all in. This is I think there's always a hesitancy from fans when this kind of feels like the last assets, both money wise and draft wise, you can really give up before you blow up the next couple of years if things don't go exactly right. But the time is now. We're in an interesting phase. Chiefs reloading, Ravens reloading, Bills in flux. Maybe Josh Allen overcomes it, but who knows? I think they made a significant coaching downgrade. A lot of players have left from the good teams. I think that the Broncos and Patriots are exactly right for saying this is the time right now. We're striking while the iron's hot. And I respect it. So you should feel good about Waddle, but I do want to ask you overall about the Broncos because I'm pretty tapped into East Coast beat reporters, but what are the local guys saying, local men and women and whoever else, saying about the team vibes, locker room chemistry? Is there any issues going on there?
So everyone has just been pretty ecstatic about the Jalen Waddle trade. It's something that every Broncos beat reporter was kind of targeting as the season progressed, and especially during the offseason, and especially as all the noise that I was part of last week when I was saying that the Broncos weren't doing anything. There was a lot of noise like that in the Broncos beat reporters. Jalen Waddle was a huge victory, and the way everyone's kind of taking it is this automatically vaults the Broncos offense way higher than it ever was last year, which I do agree with. There is some kind of, there's always been a very I'm not gonna say optimistic, but everyone just seems to like Bo a lot. This does seem to be a team that likes each other to some degree. At least as much as a football team really can. It's 50 guys; they're not all gonna get along, but I think they do like each other a lot, and I think this season is kind of going to be a big test just because there's been all this belief that you can see on the sideline in Bo, and I think you really saw it last year when even when he was playing bad, you could all the mic'd up footage, all the all the pressers, basically anytime they talked or saw anyone else on the team talking about Bo Nix or talking to Bo Nix, it was really glowing, and I think this year's kind of going to put that to the test because this is year 3, man. I understand that last year he had no weapons or anything, but some of those performances were dog shit. Some of these performances were terrible. The reason that he had to be so clutch last year is in part because he would play so bad the first 3 quarters that the only way to win was for him to become Superman for 20 minutes. And I think this is going to be the biggest test that Bo faces, not only just in terms of his own play, but just actually leading this team, because this team clearly believes in him, and I have to imagine that if he comes up short again the same way he did last year, that faith is going to kind of go away.
There is one stat that I don't think lies about this season. 7 game-winning drives for Bo Nix this season. That's almost half of the games that were played that he came up in the clutch. How sustainable that is all up to question. I think year on year it's not a very consistent metric, to be fair, but can't knock it. Can't knock it right now.
You can't knock it.
Fourth quarter.
Yeah, you can't knock it, but also
most of them coming late too.
But there's a reason that he had to do those game-winning drives, and a lot of that was because he would put us into such a position that the only way to win was for him to become Superman. It's he kind of started a fire and then put it out 7 times, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, he put out 7 fires!" And it's well, he started 7 fires too. No one's talking about that though.
Oh yeah, 100%. And look, the Mark Sanchez comparison is mean. I'm still gonna probably put it at the top of the clip, and it's not really true. But in turn, there are similarities. They take first 2 years, they've taken a similar amount of sacks, and both of them had good offensive lines at the time and young quarterbacks. And Sanchez was throwing a lot more picks, but he was also throwing the ball a lot for that that time period. He was throwing the ball 500 times a year, even back in the late aughts, which is generally what Bo Nix is doing here. But both really great all-time defenses, doing, their yards per game, the fact that they're even similar, they're like still pretty close. I mean, consider that. Mark Sanchez is throwing for like 205 a game, 217 a game in 2010, 2011. I mean, Bo Nix is 222, 231. Think about how far the game has come offensively in that time. He's only putting on 10, 20 yards a game on him. Playing better, but also the standard for quarterback play is a bit higher throughout the league. But I don't know. The real question is, if you put Mark Sanchez on this Broncos team, could they still win? And they really might. They really might be able to. But
I think the answer is no. Because I think the sacks thing and the interception thing is important. That's that was the big selling point for Sean Payton and Bo Nix, was he doesn't take sacks and he doesn't turn the ball over. Like, whatever else you want to say about him, like, he will make bad throws. His footwork will get sloppy when he's pressured, but he won't hurt the team actively. Like, he won't put the team in terrible unwinnable positions very often. I think that is I think there's a lot of things Bo does really well, but that's probably his superpower, is that he just doesn't lose possessions for you. He'll mess them up, he'll make a lot of mistakes, but he won't lose them for you, which is something, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I compare it to someone like a Brock Purdy in a way, where it's like he also doesn't put the ball, he takes care of the ball, but when it's a pick, it's so ugly. It's so bad in that moment, and sometimes that can cloud your judgment of the overall impact of what the play means over the course of a season. But you want a guy like Bo thrown in draft, and if anything, his numbers, he's only he threw 12 interceptions last year. He threw 11 interceptions this year, so he's 29 and 12, and then 25 and 11. I mean, that's really the killer here with Sanchez. I think he goes what, 12 and 20, and then 17 and 13 were his best. So pretty ugly, but especially in their sophomore seasons, I mean, relatively comparable.
I will never forgive you for this. But
here's the thing. I'm speaking to the people that were putting Bo in ridiculous conversations this year, especially coming into the season. There were a lot of media members that wanted to crown Bo very early, and I just want to pump the brakes. He has all the time in the world. To get better. But, once he gets that contract, all these good players goes away. So we'll see what happens then. But yeah, Bo Nix is Mark Sanchez. That's where we're ending.
I'll never forgive you for this, but we should move on. I have some other questions for you.
Yeah, shoot.
Who do you think improved the most this season, and who do you think still has a lot of work to do, like in the off season so far?
Team-wise?
Yeah, just team-wise or player-wise, whatever, or like unit, whatever you want. Just like, who do you think about differently now after this initial period of free agency?
I think one thing that's underrated in the NFL is that it's actually way harder to get a good defense back than it is a good offense. Especially because the game is so tailored to offense, you're constantly pumping out high-end players. So even if you are bad, a lot of the time, the highest of the high-end players you're drafting are offensive, because especially of how overly weighted the quarterback is compared to every other position. So to be a homer, I really, really, really think what people didn't understand about this Patriots season was how far of a leap the defense took. From last season and the prior seasons to now. It's really hard, especially leaving a Belichick identity, almost every single one of those guys out of the door, and Vrabel comes in and puts together, as you said, a defense that brought them to the Super Bowl. The offense got them through the regular season. The defense brought them to the Super Bowl. 4 great, and I will emphasize, 4 great performances from the Patriots defense. I mean, if they had been scoring even slightly competitively in the Seattle game, that would have been a really close game. If the offense could have given them even half of the production they expected, that could have been a really good game. So I really think that the Patriots just jumped so far because of that. I also think the this might be kind of crazy. The Bengals are much better positioned than a lot of people think, even though they have the worst defense in the league. There's a lot of guys leaving for them, but I think a cloud that was hanging over them for a long time, the last time they were kind of in the public eye, was like, oh, their offensive line is so bad. Their offensive line is going to kill Joe Burrow. When Drake May was making the run, the only other comparable Super Bowl run in terms of a quarterback getting hit so much was Joe Burrow in 2022. Those were the stats that were coming up. I think people don't realize that they've actually cobbled together a pretty decent unit and that their offense is good. Like, Joe Burrow has basically just been hurt for a lot of the last 2 seasons. And that's been really, really unfortunate for them. A lot of high leverage key situations didn't go their way, especially the Bills game this year. I mean, that was such a joke. And I think keeping Zach Taylor is funny. Like, he's the only coach that didn't get fired in this cycle from the AFC North. But that's going to mean something. Having that continuity will mean something. I think the Bengals next season, I don't know what it means year on year, but I think they're going to have a much better season next season than people are expecting. Obviously, the Jaguars. I mean, I know they went out in the first round, but they got really good, and they haven't really been participating this off season that crazy. And they haven't. That was a bad way to put that. They have not been a major participant in free agency this offseason, but they have a really good team. They have a lot of good young skill players and great receivers. I know that Brian Thomas Jr. was in a lot of trade talks, especially linked to places like the Patriots and whatnot. And look, these guys can still get traded, but I think they're going to sit firm with what they have, and I think a lot of those reports were shot down anyway by internal Jaguar sources. But
yeah, the Jags, the receiving core they had, I mean, that, like, Parker Washington and Jacoby Myers with hopefully a better Brian Thomas Jr. I know last season it kind of fell apart in a way that no one was really anticipating. Like, just some of the clips of him running up and down the field and just kind of, like, missing catches because it just didn't seem like he cared was super weird. And if they can even get, like, 80% of his rookie season, I think they are in contention for like one of the best receiving cores in the NFL, just because, like, Parker Washington was fucking awesome as the season went along. Jacoby Myers was perfect for them. They have all these guys, and that defense is scary. And you had something about Trevor Lawrence in the doc, and is it crazy? I kind of believe in Trevor right now. Like, is it nuts that I kind of like this, what the Jaguars are doing going into the season? Like, I think they can make, like, at least a divisional round next year.
no, I don't think you're crazy. One of my least favorite crutches that media personalities use to describe a guy who makes bad decisions is the quote-unquote bozo gene. Like, oh, just can't get, we just can't get rid of the bozo gene in Trevor Lawrence. He plays so good, and then he's always going to throw the bad pick. And, that usually just means that the decisions aren't that good consistently. If you're constant, even if it's 1 or 2 mistakes a game, your decision making isn't as good as the guys making no mistakes a game. But I do have to agree, and I really want to focus on the Buffalo game because, there were spots they could have played better. Buffalo was also a really good team, beatable, but just didn't go their way that game this past season. But I really, really, really liked Liam Cohen and how he tried to coach the game. I mean, if you'll remember, it basically was the last, in real time, it must have been 25 minutes, but the last couple minutes of the game where it was, they're letting Josh Allen score to give themselves the ball back. And I mean, they had the ball back. I think it was between a minute and 2 minutes on the clock, 1 timeout and the ball, or maybe no timeouts. But they had the ball on their, to complete the game-winning drive. And Trevor immediately threw the interception, game over, Bozo Gene. Bozo Gene believers, were up 1 million that day. But another year, same receivers, same coach, mostly the same staff. Let Trevor cook. He has had zero stability in pretty much his entire NFL career. He had significantly more stability at Clemson than he had here. So, yes, unfortunately, he can't win a Super Bowl because the Jaguars are a cursed franchise built upon the bodies of millions of torn ACL victims. But no, I think he'll continue to bring the team to the playoffs, and I hope it's not against one of our teams, but I hope that he can get at least a couple playoff wins, because that would be... He's really good. He was a number one overall pick for a reason, and that's a very difficult franchise to turn around. In the way that now we look back and we go, wow, we were shitting on Baker, but he really was the only good Browns quarterback for the last... really, who are the people you're comparing? Tim Couch? Who are the people you're comparing to Baker Mayfield in terms of Browns quarterback pantheons?
Manziel.
Yeah, Johnny Manziel, Money Manziel.
I think it's really interesting about the Jags, like, they're in this really funny situation that I think, like, the Charlotte Hornets are in right now too, where it's like, yeah, like, your fan base has just suffered for so long that it kind of doesn't... If I'm a fan, I don't even really care if we win the Super Bowl as much as, like, just give me something to root for, something competitive, respectable, with, like, a little dignity. And, like, Trevor Lawrence will probably rip their fucking hearts out at some point, and it's going to be brutal and mean, and just they're like, it's going to destroy, like, the Cinderella narrative. But, like, just give them competitive football. You're just grading them on a curve. Like the Hornets, it's like, I don't really care if LaMelo can win the title. I just like that Hornets basketball is a real thing now. It's just fun. It's always good for the league. Like,
100%. 100%. But I do want to move more to Patriots specific, because I've been itching to do it, and we haven't really done just a full roundtable. So I'm probably going to take the next 15 minutes more towards the end of the pod, and let's start with A.J. Brown talk to the Patriots. There's been a lot linking him being traded. I mean, all of the talk between the media and saying, they're going to trade him. Oh, no, actually, they're waiting for the June 1st deadline so that this, and this, and the Patriots sign Romeo Doubs, and that's actually just a proxy to lower AJ's value, to say, hey, we don't need him, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to talk about generally what I think. What I think is that he definitely is coming, because everybody involved is dropping hints that it's a done deal. He goes on Julian Edelman's podcast. Julian Edelman says, we are all Patriots, and he just winks at him. A.J. Brown winks, I should say. I think today I just saw an Instagram post. It was A.J. Brown and Kevin Byard working out together. Kevin Byard was just signed by the Patriots, so he clearly wants to be here. He wanted to come here at draft. He cried after the draft. Then he went to Vrabel and fell in love with Vrabel's style of coaching. It's a match made in heaven right now. I think he'll end up being here. I think what the compensation is to do that is where I struggle. There are a lot of different opinions from the local beat reporters in New England. But I think the general consensus is that people are worried about giving up draft picks in the 2027 draft, because a lot of analysts and experts believe that that is a gold mine for young talent, the 2027 class. And giving up draft picks in that class are far more valuable. And, you're taking on the financial compensation that AJ's getting anyway. So you're already giving up a lot of financial assets. So giving up picks is just difficult to stomach on its own. And the problem with this Waddle trade as well is that's kind of set a market here for Howie Roseman, right? And a lot of people are questioning, is A.J. Brown still have it? Is he just a slant and hitch merchant? Is he actually that good anymore, or is he, is it just a really good Eagles team? Is everyone good on that Eagles team? Is there a lot of gravity taken away by Devonta Smith and Saquon Barkley and the threat of rush? I still think AJ Brown is very good. And here's my take. You sign AJ Brown because you know and you trust that Drake May will continue to make any wide receiver overperform when Drake May is on the field. That's what needs to drive all of these decisions. That actually Drake May is a top 5, top 3 quarterback in the NFL. So no matter who we put on the field, we just need to make sure they're halfway decent because he's going to make them look great. And for a lot of beat reporters who are saying A.J. Brown has lost a step and his route tree is far more limited, that may be true, but Drake May will bring out greatness within him. The same things were said about Stephon Diggs, and Stephon Diggs had a career year coming off a torn ACL, due in large part to the incredible accuracy and placement from Drake May. You have to believe that Drake is going to take these players over the top. Now, it gets to a point. You don't then go say, well, we don't ever need to go get a wide receiver. We're just going to draft guys, and Drake will make it work. I mean, that's literally what sent Tom Brady out of New England, was the fact that we just would not get any wide receivers for him. It was just end of the first round guys who kept being busts over and over and over and over, or a late round pick. The difference here is we're prioritizing our young guy. We can win right now because Drake is that good. And if that mindset informs all your decisions, then all of this will be logical. Signing Romeo Doubs, signing A.J. Brown. A lot of other people also talk about the fact that Robert Kraft and the Kraft Group as owners believe in this 3-year period of balancing the budget, where you don't have to balance the budget every year, but within a 3-year period, it needs to come out to breaking even. So you can spend big in year 1 and year 2, but it means there's going to be a lot of cuts to the finance in year 3. Or you can spend big in just 1 year, and then you can spend moderately in the next 2 years. Clearly, they're throwing that out the window because they're like, oh, we can win the Super Bowl right now. We didn't expect to have a shot right now to do it. So I say bring on A.J. Brown because Drake May will make him better. Drake May will turn him back into a first-team All-Pro. You have to believe that Drake May is that much better than Jalen Hurts. Clearly, A.J. Brown does. So I think there's a lot that we can get out of him if he comes to the Patriots. I also want to talk about Romeo Doubs signing. Great value deal. Most people have gone over it over and over. The Patriots need to retire the number 87. What are we doing? What are we doing? Why have 3 different guys worn 87 since Rob Gronkowski has retired? That is so disrespectful. And if anything, just nasty work. 11, Julian Edelman's number, not retired. 87, not retired. And controversially, I think we should be retiring Randy Moss's 81, even though he only played for us for like 2 seasons. He had arguably the best wide receiver season ever. I think that deserves a retirement. And I also implore our listeners to go watch the 2.5-minute standing ovation that he gets when doing the Bill Belichick Hall of Fame induction, because New Englanders know how important Randy Moss is to the culture and to why Patriots are even relevant to this day. So 87, 81, and 11 need to be retired. Give him number 12, bro. Tom Brady hates us. Tom Brady actually hates us. He wished death upon us in the Super Bowl. At least Gronk likes us. At least Edelman likes us. Sorry, I just had to get that off my chest.
No, you're good. You're good. I know you wanted to do that for a grievance corner at some point. But yeah, I agree. I think it's fun. I think they should unretire 12. I think anyone should be like, you should give it to like Drake May's dog. You should give number 12 to Drake May's dog. Fuck Tom Brady. Like, I want to stomp all over that history. And going back to what you said about like AJ and Romeo, I think this is actually perfect for AJ Brown because Romeo Dobbs is really good and he's going to help the receiving core a lot, but he's not so good that it's going to hurt AJ Brown's ego. And if you have a wide receiver one, I feel like that should be like your number one fucking priority as a GM is just trying to keep your wide receiver one happy because they're all fucking nuts.
And look, I think AJ will be fine coming to Mike Vrabel. I think he'll settle down, and some wide receivers being divas, it's just such a crazy weighted statement, but I just kind of see him more
true.
I just see him more as a guy who was really unhappy with management at work. Like that is just what I see. I don't see a guy whose personality is negative. I see a guy who didn't have any other avenue to express his discontent, but also cares about his value and where he wants to be, and wants to force the issue. You know, it seems diva-like because he's using power that he has pretty individually on the team in terms of how much of an asset he is, just given how much value they put into him. He's just using the power he has to get what he wants, and, you know, can we blame the guy for that? I don't think so.
Come on, man.
I think we can just let it go.
No, he's reading a book on the sidelines. Like, I'm sorry.
See, but the book on the sidelines is hilarious.
It is hilarious. I'm not going to say it's not hilarious, but, like, come on, man. You can't, like... There's wide receiver ones are disproportionately insane.
What book could he be reading where it wouldn't be an issue to you?
Capital. If he was reading Capital Volume 1... with like the David Harvey companion, I'd be like, hell yeah, AJ Brown, read that shit. Let's talk about surplus value before you go get your head blown in. Like I would love that. Anything short of that, I'm like, no, you can't be doing that. You can't be doing that on the sidelines. Like I get it, like I get the power thing. It's all power to him, but like you can't look at anything that like AJ Brown is doing and be like, yeah, this is like I don't have to worry about him becoming like a malcontent at any point. There's just some guys who become malcontents. That's just like a universal thing in sports. Some of them are just kind of assholes, and that's like, you know.
See, but if he were on the sidelines reading All About Love, all I'm saying is I'd be like, yo, do you?
That would be.
It was the year of the performative male, okay? It was the year of the performative male, and he was just following suit. He was actually ahead of all of us.
Did you see that picture of Aaron Gordon? He posted it on Instagram. He's like sitting in a bed, like with like his shirt off, and he's like has like yoga pants on or something, and it's like this really beautiful sunbathed room, and he's going over what he's been reading during his injury, and it's like Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin, All About Love. Like, just that kind of, like, it's like the performative male reading list, and it's just fucking awesome. I love Aaron Gordon. He's so hot. I love Aaron Gordon.
Or we go another direction. He's on the sideline. He's reading a Mike Lupica story. He's reading Lupica? He's doing YA novels on the sideline. He's doing like Percy Jackson. He's on The Last Olympian. He's on the last book. He was too locked in. He had to finish it. He had to finish the last book.
If he was reading like Mockingjay Part 2, if he was reading Mockingjay, I'd be down. I'd be like, yeah, I would do the same thing. Like, that was an incredible book, and if I was an NFL receiver and I was like, I had like 50 more pages to go, and like I just needed to see how the story turned out, like what happens to Katniss, what happens to Coin, like I would totally read that on the sideline. Fuck this.
Because you need his mind to be right, and as a reader of that book, you know there's no way he wouldn't be thinking about it all game unless he just finishes it right there.
He's not listening to play. Like, he's not going to listen to like fucking Jalen Hurts telling him where to go. Like, he's going to be thinking about what happened to Katniss. Like, what's up with Gale? Where's PETA? You know.
Honestly, like when we find out that it was really a John Green book, but just had a different cover on the back, and he hit it.
Fault in Our Stars.
Yes. Paper Towns, bro. He just knew.
Honestly, I just feel like all these like male influencer guys who are reading like Rich Dad Poor Dad or whatever, like How to Win Friends and Influence People, just pick up fucking like Catching Fire. pick up Percy Jackson. Just pick up a YA novel. I'm sure you'll have way more fun. It'll teach you more than whatever the fuck Rich Dad Poor Dad will. Come on.
Yo, the day I look on my sideline and I see my offensive lineman reading a big Nate comic, I'm like, let's go. Let's go.
Captain Underpants.
Yes. We need some Dov Pilkey readers on the defensive line, okay? I want everyone with their head in the book or watching the field on my sideline.
Would be awesome if he was reading like fucking like Green Eggs and Ham or like the Lorax or something on the sideline, just like one of those guys who's like, yeah, this is like truer than anything else, man. Like he was spitting facts. I don't like Green Eggs and Ham.
I'm getting the entire secondary onto the Warriors Cat series, seeing how far they can make it.
You have to. Do you want to do?
I'll do
Corner?
some. Let me just do some quick hits on some of the other Patriots news. Diggs is still unsigned. I think a lot of that has to do with his court case remaining open and being a lot more serious than clearly the Patriots had thought. But it was pretty obvious that was going to happen to me. I mean, he wasn't part of the overall team vision or the franchise's schedule for what they had in mind in the next couple of years. And excuse me, I'm sure that this was almost explicitly stated to him by Vrabel in their contract negotiations, because you could just tell with how amicable the split was, that this was always a possibility, spoken about pretty much through the entire contract negotiation process. Garrett Bradbury, the starting center, goes to the Bears. Bears were obviously in a panic because their franchise center retired kind of in his prime, and they needed an option. So he had no guaranteed money coming this year, and now we get, I think we got like a 5th-round pick for him, so that was great. And Jared Wilson is going to move over to be the center from left guard anyway, so wouldn't have been a guarantee that he started. So shout out to Garrett Bradbury for going to a place where he can start the season. Jalen Hawkins, the free safety, goes to the Ravens. He was a pretty overrated player on the defense, but he held it down for the season, and I respect him, and I have a ton of respect for any Patriots player that can go to the Super Bowl, but he ultimately was replaceable, and Craig Woodson, who was the rookie, was starting to outperform him anyway, and then wildly outperformed him in the Super Bowl. I think the writing was on the wall there, but he goes to the Ravens on a new deal. Really, the only one that was kind of a head scratcher to me was Kyrus Tonga goes to the Chiefs, but it was also understandable. When your breakout age in the NFL is like 29, 30, that's your ceiling is pretty limited at that point. But he was a fan favorite this season. He came in at fullback a lot, like a heavy set fullback for a lot of different runs, and we were honestly really successful in most of those packages. He was a great rotational piece on the defensive line, but he's turning 30, and I think the only thing that really upset me was his contract that he got wasn't that crazy. We definitely could have brought him back at the rate he got, but good for him. He's going to go to another decent franchise. And, overall, even with all these things going his way, he didn't have much production. So, not a loss you're going to totally lose sleep over. And the only other one that's worth mentioning, even though it would not be a headline news at all, is Vidarian Lowe goes to the 49ers. It's a sneaky, really good signing for them for tackle depth. He is definitely one of the top-end backups in the league, but only in for limited reps, because his name was dragged through the mud in 2024 when he was on one of the worst offensive lines ever on the Patriots last year, where he was thrust into the starting role, and it was obvious he was a backup. So good for him for sticking through it. And then when he came in this year, just to, when Will Campbell went down, you really didn't hear his name that much. So shout out to him. He got a new contract, gets to move to California. Shout out to you, big dog. You made it. And we appreciate your service. But we can get to the grievance corner now. I feel like you can just fire off here.
So this is going to be a controversial grievance corner. We are already fighting in the Google Doc outline for this episode about this grievance. But I'm just gonna say it. I feel like I should be allowed to vape on planes. I don't get the big deal here. Like, if I'm zeroing it, like, if I'm not letting the vapor come out of my mouth, I genuinely don't understand what the thing is. Like, it's not gonna blow up the plane. This isn't fire in a pressurized container like it is with a cigarette. This is literally just a vape. Like, this is a me thing. I don't understand why it has to be this, like, big deal where, like, they'll, like, pull you to the side of the back of the plane and be like, we're gonna, like, have to talk to the captain about this. Like, come on, bro. What are we doing? Why can't I vape on planes? I don't get this. This isn't a danger.
You're nuts. You're so nuts because you actually believe that, like, vapes don't have an odor, which is crazy. Which is
like
crazy.
It's any worse than... Dude, people will bring, like, sour cream and onion chips onto a plane, and you're getting mad at me about the blue raz? Is this for real?
No. As I stated in the Google Doc, I'm more conservative than you. No vapes on planes. No taking your shoes off on planes. No children under 2 on planes. No odorous food on planes. You must have taken a verifiable shower within the last 3 hours of getting on that thing.
Verifiable shower.
I'm not going suits and ties like our friends in the GOP, but there is some respectability that I want on my aircraft, especially that taking off shoes. I swear to God, that is like chemical warfare. Taking off your shoes on an airplane. I should beat you over the head with an Acme Looney Tunes mallet. Okay? Where, like, your eyes are coming out of your head like a cuckoo clock. Okay, that's what it should look like when you take your shoes off on a plane. And then everyone should get up and applaud me. Okay?
But vaping literally doesn't do anything.
Your feet stink. It doesn't matter who you are, man or woman. Your feet stink. Your feet stink. I don't want to smell that odor.
See, I agree with you on that. You shouldn't be taking your shoes off on planes, but, like, if I'm bringing a clear vape into there, like, no smell, no flavor, nothing...
The only reason I'm allowing you to hit a vape in the plane is if someone did take off their shoes, and I would rather cut the smell with the vape.
This is what I'm saying. It smells like because you get on any kind of commercial plane. There's like 100 people on that plane, right? At least like 10 of them are going to be doing something that like actively disturbs everyone around them. A vape is at very worst, a vape is like mildly annoying, but the smell is pretty good. Like, you got to admit.
Let me pitch you this then. Because we have the technology and the fact that we haven't done this yet is crazy to me. We can just create a smoking area on planes.
Oh my God.
We can just do that. The airlines are just trying to maximize profit, when in reality we have the technology. You tell me we get government-owned aircrafts. You tell me we can't put in a smoking section. Why not? We 100% have the technology. We 100% can seal the cabin separately from the cigarette and vape smoke cabin. Okay?
Have you ever been in the Vegas airport?
No, I've never been in the Vegas airport. But I have been in several
rooms
casinos.
Every 5 seconds. Like, every 5 feet, there's a damn smoking room. You telling me, you're telling me we can't put that on a plane? If you want to eat sour cream and onion chips, go to the smoking room. That's the penalty. That's the punishment. That's the price you have to pay for you can take your shoes off in the plane, but it has to be in the smoking room. That's just what it goes.
I'm not getting off the shoes off in a plane. I'm not getting. In fact, you're banned from the smoking lounge if you take off your shoes. How about that?
Okay, that actually there probably is a pretty sizable demographic there. Shit.
We can't advertise this with, hey guys, you can go take your shoes off in that room. Can't do it. But we can
like
do, we gotta. This is the America. People want to talk about America First policies. This is an America First policy. Let's create. We're not even bringing it back. We're not making America great again. We're not doing any of that. We're moving forward, and we're putting smoking rooms on airplanes.
Smoking rooms on airplanes. I feel like if you take your shoes off on a plane, like more than let's say like 2 times.
Air marshal.
No, we're just dropping you out of the plane. You're done. Like we're throwing you off the fucking plane. Yeah,
it's over. I'm not doing it. Or someone they release like a snake on the ground and then they super glue your feet to the floor and it's like, how about you like that? No, I'm just kidding.
You're trying to do snakes on a plane?
Snakes on a plane.
See, but how is a vape worse than a shoe? Worse than a foot? This is my question. How, like, it smells like fruit.
Why is
You're
it
mad
worse?
At fruit now?
Here's the real conservative side of me. You're asking how is a vape smell worse than a shoe smell? It's not. It's the fact that you would interrupt my nostrils with anything is the affront to me. Food, vape, body odor, I don't care. If you've interrupted my scent patterns with something everybody knows is very odorous, you're just annoying. That is true. And you might say, Ben, you're getting very tricky there, especially when you talk about food. That could be some racialized language. I promise you it's not. Because I eat all different kinds of foods from all different kinds of cultures, and a lot of them are stinky, but you know where I wouldn't bring them? Onto my drop-down tray on an airplane.
On a plane. I will say
wouldn't,
the smell...
because I know.
Vape smell
because
is
I know the science of a plane.
Vape smell is the price of community, man. Like, that, I'm sorry. If you're going to be in community with people,
You're
gonna
arguing to me. You're
yes.
arguing to me that planes are a public space.
Yes. How are they not a public... Are you saying planes aren't a public space? Is that what you're arguing?
Ticket required? Okay, I know that they're a public space, but a couple $100 ticket required, and you're going to act like you're building community by vaping on a plane?
Yes.
That's
actually exactly my point. Yeah. No, that's the price of being in society. I'm trying to build towards a society where people love each other, understand each other, respect each other.
No, the price of society is having
the
the vapor.
price of that is letting me vape on a fucking plane.
The price of society is having the vapor. You want your community, you make the smoking room on the plane. That's how you get your community.
Yeah, I'm
down with that. We're not subjecting everybody to it.
What do you think
health concerns be damned. Health concerns be damned.
What about like eating chips on a plane? Like just plain old chips? Because like I know the sound would probably annoy you.
I just think that maybe you have the air marshal on every flight, but then you also have like the etiquette police. And the etiquette police, I think it's something like you can get a ticket and then you can get banned from air travel for X amount of time. Like 30-day ban on air travel, you took your shoes off on plane. Second infraction, 90-day ban. Third infraction, 6-month ban, up for review at the end of 6 months.
Up for review is crazy. Up for review is not... Because if you're...
you take your shoes off 3 times on a plane when you're told you're not to?
Yeah. No, I agree with that, and I just think we should let... What are air marshals doing?
I'm treating social infractions on an airplane like how this country treats speeding tickets. And I don't think that's crazy at all.
I don't think it's crazy either. I don't think it's crazy, but also, like, I think we don't need a separate etiquette police, because what are air marshals actually doing? Like, when was the last time that, like, you saw them stop someone from, like, blowing up a plane? Like, at most, they're just calming down drunk passengers. Like, they could totally be the etiquette police for us.
It's true. We already pay for it, but someone needs to do it. They certainly need to be writing tickets. Someone needs to be walking around writing tickets.
But you're pushing for an authoritarian... We're living in very scary, fascist times.
Oh, yes.
And you're trying to expand the authority of our central government. That's what you're trying to do.
I'm damn near about to put a mini jail on each plane for the infractions.
I'm fine with that,
I'm thinking of putting cells on the plane. Maximizing profit? No, maximizing a calm experience for Ben. Okay? Throw all the stinky feet people in the jail cell for the next 6 hours, and then we'll be okay. And then I'll be fine. And then I don't have to smell anything.
I will say, unless you're in the same row as the foot, like, that's not a smell that really enters your nostril. Like, unless it's, like, the dankest foot of all time. Anything
odorous, though. Here's the thing. I'm willing to accept all this and then renege on the ban on the 2-year-old children. Because my thing is, like, you kind of have to ask for everything, and then you can argue it down. You'd rather have 2-year-old kids than foot smell on a plane? I would much rather have foot smell. Yes, because I have empathy and can empathize with the parent.
Up.
I cannot. There is no empathy. There is no empathy I have for you if you take off the shoe on the plane.
You did not just say it's because I have empathy. Come on. No.
You explain to me how I'm wrong.
I'm not going to say that you're wrong for having empathy, but I will say a toddler on a plane is a ticking fucking time bomb, and it would destroy has the potential to destroy the entire experience.
I have sat through many a horrible flight with them, but let me tell you that I don't have, like, anger boiling inside me with a kid crying, because I understand why they're crying. I understand the parents don't want it to be happening. They're embarrassed. You don't want to make it anything mean. When someone in your row takes their shoes off, it's like, I need Zeus to strike down with all of his might the person in 3A right now.
No.
Like,
See,
there is no. It is the most selfish act you can possibly commit on an airplane. It is.
What do you think about using the reclining function? Because I can't stand that. If someone's reclining on a plane, I'm like, I'm going to punch you in the face.
I go back and forth on that because a lot of it is because the airlines build it so poorly and they don't need to.
Yeah.
But look, like, I'm tall and big, I rarely do push back because I know it pisses people off and it sometimes pisses me off, but I try not to care about it too much because some people just need to.
Yeah, but like, dude,
here's
I'm
the thing.
6'1", man. Like, if you recline back, like, I have no. I'm doing this on my laptop. Like, I'm doing this.
Yeah, I know. It's a difficult one for me. I haven't decided on that. Here's what I'll say: if I'm in a row and it's a family in front of me and the 6-year-old kid reclines his seat all the way back, then I'm upset. Then I'm getting annoyed. But if it's like a big guy or just a big person or someone who's just tall, like, I'm like, I get it, like, But someone small, you don't have that luxury. Sit in the seat.
Sit in the seat like a... No, because I feel like most of the time it's not like a big person. Like, at least in my experience, it's always been like people who it's like, you just want to like take your little nap like a little baby who wants a little bottle and they're going to like curl up in the seat. And it's like you're actively ruining my experience by doing that and you don't need to be doing that. Sorry.
Okay. We'll wrap it up here because that was a lively conversation to end it. And I think we need to do a blueprint of our plane. That'll be, if we're going to do like a t-shirt for this podcast, the blueprint of our plane, like the smoking area, the jail.
Jail cells.
The jail cell, the showers for if you're not clean enough, you have to go shower in the plane.
It should be like one of those where it's like there's like a hose and the flight attendants take you downstairs and they just hose you off with your clothes
They're
on.
in hazmats and everything. They're in like, airline hazmat suits. Okay, anyways, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. We will have more clips out through the week, so please go ahead and like and comment and share those clips as well. And subscribe while you're here. We're going to continue to do this. We love doing this, and love to hear from you. So even if you think our takes are horrible or
please
stupid, let us know. They will guide us in the right direction. But anyways, I've been Ben. With me, as always, Ivy. You can find us pretty much anywhere with the @ you see on the screen. And everyone, have a good weekend and have a good week.
Yeah, and next Monday we'll come to you with a bunch of NBA stuff. Playoffs are coming up soon, so we'll have a lot of preview stuff for you coming up soon. All right, peace. See you guys. Like every Ben said, he's doing something over there. I don't know what the fuck is going on, but yeah, peace.